The Force finale did not feel like a goodbye. It felt like the moment right before something bigger begins. Just when it looked like one chapter was closing, the story quietly reminded us that power never truly ends. It only changes shape. The final moments after the Force finale carry a strange silence, and that silence is powerful. It is not the silence of defeat or closure. It is the silence that comes after a storm, when everything looks calm, but the ground underneath is still shaking. This is exactly how power has always spoken to its audience. When one story slows down, another one starts breathing in the background. The Force finale was not designed to give clean answers. It was built to leave space. Space for new players, unfinished business, and a future that has not yet been named. That is why it feels different from a normal ending. There is no full victory, no final loss, and no sense that everything is settled. Instead, we are left watching characters who survived, changed, and now stand in a world that no longer works the same way. This kind of ending does not close doors. It quietly unlocks them. The legacy of power has always been about consequences. Every decision leaves a shadow behind, and those shadows become stories of their own. The Force finale makes it clear that the past is not done collecting its debt. Old moves still matter, old enemies still breathe, and old alliances can turn into future wars. What looks like peace is really just a pause. The story wants the audience to feel that pause, to sit in it, and to realize that the calm is temporary. This is how power tells us to stay alert. Because when things get quiet in this world, it usually means something dangerous is coming next. What makes this moment so important is how carefully it was shaped. Nothing in the Force finale feels rushed, and nothing feels accidental. Every conversation, every stare, and every unfinished moment works like a seed planted in the ground. Power has always trusted the audience to notice these details without being told what they mean right away. That is why the ending feels heavier the more you think about it. The story pulls back instead of pushing forward, letting the weight of what happened sink in. This approach signals that the next chapter will not be about repeating the same battles. It will be about dealing with the damage already done. The world left behind after the finale is fragile. Power structures are cracked, trust is thin, and loyalty has become a dangerous gamble. This is where new stories grow best. When the rules are unclear and the balance of power is unstable, anyone can rise and anyone can fall. The ending shows us a city and a system that no longer belongs to one person. It belongs to whoever is bold enough to take it. That shift is important because power has never been just about control. It has always been about who deserves it and who can actually hold it. By ending Force the way it did, the story removes certainty. And when certainty is gone, fear and ambition move in together. This is the perfect ground for a new legacy to form. Another reason this ending matters is because of what it does not show. Power often speaks louder through absence than action. The lack of clear direction forces the audience to think ahead instead of looking back. We are not told who is next, where the story will go, or how the future will look. Instead, we are given pieces and asked to imagine the rest. This method keeps the universe alive even when the screen goes dark. It allows the story to live in the minds of the audience long after the episode ends. The Force finale understands that mystery creates hunger. When everything is explained, interest fades. But when questions remain, the story grows. This is how power keeps its grip. The ending reminds us that the world is bigger than one show or one chapter. There are streets we have not walked yet, names we have not heard yet, and conflicts still forming out of sight. The legacy is not tied to a single moment. It is built through time, pressure, and survival. Every ending in Power has always been a quiet promise that something else is waiting. Force follows that same rule. It steps back, lowers its voice, and lets the future speak for itself. When you step away from the emotions and look at the bigger picture, the message becomes clearer. Force was never meant to be the final word. It was meant to be a turning point. The kind that changes direction without announcing it out loud. Power has reached a stage where legacy matters more than dominance. The question is no longer who runs the city today, but who shapes the world tomorrow. The Force finale reflects that shift. It closes one chapter while leaving the book wide open. That is why the idea of a power legacy feels natural, not forced. The groundwork is already there. The story has prepared the audience to move forward without cutting ties to the past. This balance is what keeps the universe strong. It respects what came before while making room for something new. The finale trusts that the audience understands this language by now. Power does not end stories with explosions. It ends them with consequences. And consequences always lead to new beginnings. The silence after the Force finale is not empty. It is loaded. It is waiting. And whatever comes next will rise directly from everything that was left behind. The most important thing about what comes next is how carefully the story reshaped the ground beneath everyone's feet. After the Force finale, nothing feels stable anymore. And that is not a mistake. Power has always been strongest when control feels temporary and trust feels dangerous. The ending strips away the illusion that anyone truly won. Even the characters who survived are standing on weak ground. Alliances that once felt solid now look fragile. Enemies who were pushed back are not fully gone. This is the kind of world where legacy stories are born, because survival alone is no longer enough. Characters now have to think beyond the next move and start thinking about what they are leaving behind. That shift changes everything. The streets may look quieter, but the pressure underneath is heavier than ever. Every choice made in the finale created a ripple that will spread outward. Power does not forget actions, and it never lets consequences die quietly. What we are seeing now is the pause before those consequences come looking for payment. What makes this phase different is that the story is no longer centered on proving strength. It is centered on proving influence. Strength can win a fight, but influence decides what comes next. The Force finale makes it clear that power is no longer sitting in one set of hands. It is broken into pieces, scattered across people who may not even realize what they are holding yet. This creates a dangerous situation where ambition grows faster than loyalty. When no clear ruler exists, everyone believes they have a chance. That belief is powerful, and in the power universe, belief often leads to bloodshed. This is why the ending feels unfinished in the best way. It does not give the audience comfort. It gives them tension, the kind that builds slowly and explodes later. The story is telling us to stop looking for a clear path and start paying attention to the cracks forming in the system. Another key part of this moment is how the past refuses to stay buried. Power has never allowed characters to escape there. History, even when someone tries to move forward, their old decisions follow them like shadows. The Force finale reinforces this idea by leaving several emotional and strategic threads unresolved. These are not loose ends by accident. They are reminders that legacy is built from memory as much as action. Every betrayal, every sacrifice, and every mistake becomes part of the foundation for what comes next. The future of power will not erase what happened in Force. It will be shaped by it. That is why the ending feels heavier the more you think about it. It is not about what we saw, but about what we know is coming. The story is preparing the audience for a phase where the cost of power is higher than before. This moment also signals a change in tone. Earlier chapters of Power focused on climbing, taking over, and surviving the climb. Now the focus is shifting toward maintenance and legacy. Holding power is harder than gaining it, and keeping a legacy alive is even harder. The Force finale shows characters who are tired, guarded, and more aware of the weight they carry. This emotional shift matters because it opens the door for new types of conflict. Battles will not just be physical. They will be emotional, strategic, and deeply personal. The next era will test not just strength, but patience, vision, and restraint. And in a world like power, restraint is often the rarest trait of all. That is what makes the future so dangerous. Everyone wants control, but very few are prepared for what control actually demands. What truly defines this phase is the way the story now uses uncertainty as its main weapon. After the Force finale, the Power universe no longer offers clear direction, and that is exactly the point. The audience is not meant to feel secure about what comes next. Instead, the story pushes everyone into a state of watchfulness. Every quiet moment feels loaded. Every unanswered question feels intentional. This is how power reshapes attention. By removing clear answers, it forces the focus onto possibility. The future is no longer a straight line forward. It is a wide space filled with risk, temptation, and hidden threats. Characters are now operating without guarantees, and that makes every move more dangerous than before. In this phase, hesitation can be fatal, but confidence can be just as deadly. The balance is thin, and the story wants the audience to feel that tension in every breath. This uncertainty also changes how power itself is understood. Before, power was visible. You could see who had it, who wanted it, and who was trying to take it. Now, power hides. It moves quietly through conversations, favors, and silence. The Force finale strips away the comfort of knowing where danger comes from. Threats no longer announce themselves. They grow in the background, fed by resentment and ambition. This makes the world feel heavier, slower, and more intense. Every character is now walking through a minefield built from past choices. Even small actions carry weight. A single mistake can trigger a chain reaction that no one can stop. This shift raises the stakes without needing constant violence. The danger feels smarter, colder, and more personal. Another important change is how the story treats loyalty. Loyalty in power has always been fragile, but now it feels almost extinct. After the Force finale, trust is no longer something freely given. It is tested, questioned, and often faked. Characters may stand together, but the audience knows that unity can break at any moment. This creates a world where everyone is alone, even when surrounded by allies. That loneliness becomes a driving force. It pushes people to make desperate choices, to cling to control, and to protect their own future at any cost. Legacy grows in this environment, not through honor, but through survival. The story is no longer asking who is right. It is asking who will still be standing when the dust settles. This phase also opens the door for new voices without forcing them into the spotlight too fast. Power understands the value of patience. Instead of introducing the future loudly, it lets it creep. And slowly, new forces are forming while old ones adjust. The audience may not recognize these shifts immediately, but they will feel them. That slow build creates anticipation without exhaustion. It keeps the universe alive without overwhelming it. Every scene after the finale feels like a setup, even when nothing dramatic happens. That is because the real action is happening underneath the surface. Power has always thrived on tension that builds quietly before it explodes. Most importantly, this moment redefines what winning looks like. Victory is no longer about domination. It is about endurance. The characters who survive this phase will not be the loudest or the strongest. They will be the ones who understand timing, restraint, and vision. The Force finale signals that the next chapter will reward patience as much as aggression. That is a dangerous lesson in a world built on impulse. It creates conflict not just between characters, but within them. Everyone must decide what kind of future they are fighting for, and whether that future is worth the sacrifices it demands. This is where legacy truly begins, not in power taken, but in power carried forward. This stage of the story is about inheritance, not ownership. What matters now is not who holds power in the moment, but who shapes what power will look like after them. The Force finale quietly pushes the universe into this mindset. Characters are no longer chasing short wins. They are measuring consequences, thinking long-term. and realizing that every move they make will echo beyond their own survival. This is where legacy begins to outweigh ambition. In earlier chapters, ambition drove everything. Now ambition without vision becomes a weakness. The world has changed, and the people who fail to recognize that will be the first to fall. The ground is no longer open for reckless grabs. It demands planning, patience, and a willingness to live with the weight of past decisions. What makes this shift powerful is how subtle it feels. There is no loud announcement that the rules have changed. Instead, the story lets characters discover it the hard way. Old methods stop working. Old threats lose their edge. New problems appear without warning. This creates a sense of quiet pressure that never fully goes away. Every scene after the finale feels heavier because the characters know they are being judged by the future, not just the present. Their choices are no longer private. They are building examples, warnings, and paths that others will follow. This is how a legacy takes form in the Power universe, not through speeches or symbols, but through actions that others are forced to respond to. Another defining feature of this phase is responsibility. Power used to be something characters chased. Now it is something they are stuck carrying. That burden changes behavior. It creates hesitation where there used to be confidence, and doubt where there used to be pride. The Force finale shows that holding influence means being watched, challenged, and tested from every angle. The higher someone stands, the more pressure they feel from below. This reality makes leadership dangerous in a different way. Violence is no longer the biggest risk. Exposure is. One mistake can weaken an entire position, and one misjudged alliance can undo years of work. The story is moving into a space where mental strength matters as much as physical force. This is also the moment where the universe makes room for transition. Legacies are not just built by those in power, but by those waiting for their chance. After the finale, the environment feels ready for change. The structure is weakened enough to allow new figures to rise, but still strong enough to resist them. That tension creates opportunity. Some will try to protect what exists. Others will try to replace it. And some will attempt to reshape it entirely. The story does not rush these changes because legacy is not formed overnight. It grows slowly through repeated pressure and survival. This approach allows the audience to feel the transformation rather than be told about it. At its core, this phase is asking a deeper question. What does it mean to matter in a world like this? Is it enough to survive? Or does survival without impact mean nothing? The Force finale pushes this question forward without answering it. It leaves characters standing at a crossroads between comfort and consequence. The safe choice may keep them alive today, but it could erase them tomorrow. The risky choice may destroy them, but it could also define the future. This tension is where Power finds its strongest stories. The legacy is not about who wins the next fight. It is about who leaves a mark that cannot be erased. And from this point forward, every decision carries that weight. The idea of a Power legacy trailer is not about answers. It is about confirmation. It exists to tell the audience that the story is still alive, even if the shape of it is changing. After the Force finale, fans are not looking for details as much as they are looking for direction. They want to know that everything they invested in still matters. A legacy trailer does not rush to explain plots or name new threats. Instead, it focuses on mood, memory, and promise. It reminds viewers where this world has been, while quietly pointing toward where it is going. That balance is important because Power has always worked best when it trusts the audience to connect the dots on their own. What makes a legacy-style trailer powerful is restraint. It does not give full scenes or clear storylines. It uses quick images, strong lines, and familiar tension to wake up emotions tied to the past. Old moments feel close again, not as nostalgia, but as reminders of unfinished business. The trailer would likely move slowly, letting silence and music do most of the work. This kind of pacing signals maturity. It tells the audience that the story is no longer rushing to prove itself. It knows its weight. It knows its history. And it knows that the future will hit harder if it is teased instead of explained. Another key part of a Power legacy trailer is how it reframes expectation. Fans may go in looking for the next big war or the next clear lead, but the trailer shifts that mindset. It suggests that the next chapter may not be about one person standing at the top. It may be about systems, choices, and long-term consequences. This does not lower the stakes. It raises them. When the story moves away from simple wins and losses, every decision becomes more dangerous. A legacy trailer would hint at this by focusing on faces, pauses, and unresolved emotion rather than action-heavy moments. It invites the audience to think, not just react. The trailer also serves as a bridge between generations of the story. Power has built a world where the past always shapes the present. A legacy trailer would lean into that idea by blending echoes of what came before, with glimpses of what might come next. It would not erase the old chapter, but it would not live in it either. Instead, it would show how the past still breathes inside the future. This approach keeps longtime fans connected while opening the door for new viewers who sense that something meaningful is unfolding. Most importantly, a Power legacy trailer is about trust. It trusts that the audience understands this world well, enough to wait. It trusts that mystery is more powerful than noise. And it trusts that when the time comes to reveal more, the impact will be stronger because patience was rewarded. After the Force finale, this kind of trailer feels earned. It does not scream that Power is back. It quietly reminds everyone that Power never really left. It simply stepped back, letting its legacy speak first. The reason Power does not feel like it is ending is because its foundation was never built for a clean finish. From the very beginning, this universe was designed to expand, bend, and evolve without losing its core identity. Every major ending has carried the same message. Power is not a destination. It is a cycle. The Force finale follows that exact pattern. Instead of closing the door, it widens the space. It shows a world that is still hungry, still unstable, and still driven by desire. That